Did you know that if you draw a line in front of a chicken with a pen, a stick, or even your finger, it will stay completely still for a few seconds? Or that you can put a shark into a semi-comatose state just by scratching the tip of its nose? Wait, it gets even stranger than that. Tigers can completely paralyze their prey with just a roar, without even touching it. So much so that the prey can't move from its spot. But none of these things are magic. There's science behind all of it. A strange science called animal hypnosis. For years, whenever animal hypnosis is mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind is that stereotypical image of an Indian fakir, sitting on the ground in his distinctive traditional outfit, calmly playing a flute, while a cobra slowly rises out of a pot in front of him and sways to the music. But let me tell you a fact that will shatter all your assumptions. Snakes can't hear at all. This is a scientifically proven fact. Snakes don't have external ears and can't process sound waves the way we or other animals do. So the question is, how do they react to the sound of the flute like that? Well, the story is that the flute and the specific hand movements of the player look exactly like a threat to the snake. The snake doesn't know what it is, but it feels threatened. That's why, instead of attacking, it just follows the flute as it moves back and forth in the player's hand. You should also know that in addition to this, the players always look directly into the snake's eyes and approach it carefully and calmly, because they're exactly waiting for a moment, the moment when the snake doesn't try to defend itself and just watches. Now, do you think this is the strangest method of animal hypnosis? Wait, this is just the beginning. Alright, let's go back to the year 1646. That's when a German scientist named Athanasius Kircher was conducting experiments on animals. He performed a simple experiment. He took a chicken, placed it on the ground, and drew a line in front of its beak. Amazingly, the chicken stayed completely still. Kircher said that the chicken sees the line as an obstacle, as if it thinks there's a barrier in front of it and it can't move. But the point is, as soon as you erase the line, the chicken comes back to life and runs away. Today, scientists call this phenomenon tonic immobility, or simply tonic paralysis. It's a kind of natural defense mechanism that makes the animal play dead. In the case of the chicken, that line drawn in front of its beak tricks its nervous system, making its brain think it's facing a serious threat or receiving a special signal. So its body gets the command to stay completely still in order not to be seen or attract any attention. But we still haven't talked about the strangest part of the story, because now we're going to look at animals that can be completely incapacitated just by a touch, a scratch, or even a simple turn. Have you ever seen someone flip a giant, dangerous crocodile onto its back, stroke its belly, and the crocodile suddenly becomes motionless, limp, and still, as if it's been switched off? This state is called tonic immobility, which is triggered in situations of extreme stress. When the neck is stretched and the limbs become paralyzed, the animal enters a kind of temporary unconsciousness. Even breathing becomes slower. It's as if the crocodile is truly asleep and relaxed. But this is where it gets most dangerous. If you don't act precisely, you're done for. They've even tried this on rabbits. If you gently lay a rabbit on its back, it enters a state of complete immobility. Rabbit owners know that as long as it's lying like this, it almost doesn't react at all. Of course, with crocodiles, you can also disarm them by covering their eyes. This is the same thing we often see in documentaries and rescue operations. When you cover a crocodile's eyes, its brain experiences a kind of shutdown, or what's called a shutdown response. Since vision is one of the most important tools for a crocodile's hunting and survival, when that sense is disabled, the crocodile's brain goes into a temporary shutdown state. But the most fascinating are sharks, especially reef and tiger sharks. If you scratch their nose, they go into a trance where you can flip them onto their back and take pictures with them. Divers use this trick when they want to remove a fishing hook from a shark's mouth. You should know these tricks don't always work, as not all animals react the same way as people. One becomes still as another attacks as motionless. Now, let's move on to another case. Some predators don't rely on contact. For instance, hunting badgers use a method called the dance of death. They jump, spin, throw themselves around, so the prey gets confused and is unsure whether to run or watch. Even Arctic foxes use a similar trick to hunt snowy owls. Some scientists call this dance play. Others see it as a confusing technique. Still, it works. Tigers have an even stranger weapon, a roar you can't hear, but you can feel. Scientists discovered tigers produce infrasound which are below 20 Hz, and we can't hear them, but bodies feel them: shivers, dizziness, stress, heart palpitations, sudden fear, and all this happens without us knowing why. Interestingly, these sounds can pass through walls, forests, and even mountains. Prey animals like deer experience paralysis or confusion when hearing this sound. By the time the prey realizes it, it's too late. Before the tiger attacks, it locks the prey's mind and body with an invisible sound wave. Then, when the prey can't escape and is dazed, it attacks. But there's another technique as well. Thanators, or feigning death, is a tactic used by opossums, some snakes, ladybugs, and even pigeons. Some animals, if escaping won't work or the predator is too strong, play dead, motionless, not breathing, half-closed eyes. This behavior is a psychological trick, because some predators like cats or foxes go after live moving prey. If something stays still, they might think it's rotten and leave it alone. Now, let's go over a funny example together. Do you know how to keep a rooster entertained? Give it a mirror. Roosters don't recognize themselves and think their reflection is an enemy. They fight with the imaginary enemy in the mirror and have fun for hours. If you want my opinion about animal hypnosis, when I read about these simple yet effective techniques, I couldn't believe it. Can you immobilize an animal with a scratch or a line? Research shows it is possible, and these techniques are scientifically validated. This story raised a big question. If animals can be hypnotized, we humans must have a similar weakness. What do you think? Also write in the comments if you've ever seen an animal behave this way. Finally, hypnosis isn't exclusive to humans, nor are humans the only ones familiar with it. Animals also use this trick in the world for survival or hunting. Sometimes in a simple way, sometimes with a sound or a movement, or by pretending to be dead. In the animal world, anything can be a weapon. Next time you see an animal freeze, don't laugh. Maybe it's putting on an act for you.